Hello and welcome to South Carolina Farm Bureau's installment of Voices of Agriculture. I'm your host, Reggie Hall. During the next 30 minutes, we'll visit some family farmers who are taking their produce to the streets. We'll also visit the outdoor kitchen of Jim Griffin and learn about South Carolina's official snack food. We'll introduce you to South Carolina's Farmer Outstanding in the Field, and as always, close with our beautiful Palmetto portraits. All that and more coming up in just a moment as Voices of Agriculture continues. Hello and welcome back to South Carolina Farm Bureau's installment of Voices of Agriculture. In 2007, the South Carolina Department of Agriculture, with help from South Carolina Farm Bureau, began a public-private initiative known as Certified South Carolina to help consumers identify and purchase South Carolina-grown fruits and vegetables. Well, in just a few short years, that program has grown tremendously to where the program is now in large chain stores all the way to roadside stands.
Those are licensed in South Carolina. They're plate raw form.
South Carolina's largest employee-owned, privately operated grocery chain recently announced its expansion of the South Carolina Certified program. Piggly Wiggly stores now identify all products in their stores statewide, including meat, deli, and dairy products, and of course, locally grown produce. The expanded marketing effort is part of a goal promoted by South Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture Hugh Weathers to increase agriculture's annual contribution to the state's economy from $34 billion to $50 billion by the year 2020.
What we're all about in the Department of Agriculture is building the agricultural commerce and helping rebuild our economy in South Carolina, especially in the rural counties. It's all about taking it to the next level. And the farmers have really bought into it, investing their own dollars in using that logo. Now we're encouraging our retail partners to come along and leverage our state program, your tax dollars, with some of their investments to raise the awareness of Certified South Carolina.
The Certified South Carolina program is a cooperative effort among family farmers, producers, processors, wholesalers, retailers, and regulators to brand and promote South Carolina produce and products.
To say agribusiness in South Carolina is a growth industry is really an understatement. Farming and forestry contribute some $34 billion to our state's economy every year. Yet the potential is far greater. $50 billion is achievable by the year 2020 as we work together in a focused effort to develop new and greater markets and achieve what we call 50 by 20. Agribusiness, it's a growing force in South Carolina's economy.
Hello and welcome back to Voices of Agriculture. We've been talking about South Carolina Agriculture's marketing and branding campaign. In addition to large chain stores like Piggly Wiggly, South Carolina produce is also being identified and marketed and sold at roadside markets and stands, very much like City Roots, which is just miles from South Carolina's capital of Columbia. All those roadside markets are certified by South Carolina's Department of Agriculture. City Roots is across from one of the city's larger recreational parks, next to an industrial laundry and abandoned warehouse, and just down the road from the municipal airport, right in the heart of the Rosewood community near downtown Columbia. This certified market and family organic farm features most anything a consumer could want, including farm-raised tilapia, citrus fruit, chickens, and a host of garden staples like eggplant, beans, tomatoes, and squash.
This really is the kind of the backbone of what we do here.
Eric McClam is the farm manager of this very unique in-town sustainable farm.
Sustainability really, every dynamic of our farm comes back to sustainability. We have chickens not just for eggs, but also they add fertility to the soil. We have bees not just for honey, but for pollination. We have mushrooms not just to grow them, but also for composting. The greenhouse production, we've got vermicomposting. We have worm bins. We use the worm castings for propagation. The fish we use for the recycled water. So everything kind of comes back down to that. Even the building that we sell out of, my father and I are both architects, and we design it to be as environmentally friendly as possible, a sustainable building, and that really, the whole cycle here we try to think of.
In addition to a large and growing clientele, City Roots also caters to local chefs. The Certified Roadside Market program began in the 1970s, and according to program coordinator Ansley Rast, it's grown in recent years because of consumer demand.
Well, we currently have about 166, which is a huge jump in the recent years since we started our new branding program called Certified South Carolina Grown. We revamped our signs, we redesigned those, and they've been extremely popular. People are recognizing the logo, and like I said, the interest in becoming a roadside market has dramatically increased.
South Carolina Farm Bureau acknowledged the validity and maturity of the Certified South Carolina program and the state's Certified Roadside Market program, and agreed to transfer its 6 or so certified roadside markets over to the state's program. Rast says the Certified South Carolina Roadside Markets benefit farmers who constantly look for new and expanded markets for their produce, and they benefit consumers who are looking for the freshest, most nutritious, locally grown produce available. Farmers in the program must meet certain requirements.
No tents, not a stand you can move here. We want it to be in a consistent place. It's going to be there every year for our consumers to easily find those stands year after year. Another thing is they have to offer quality produce. We strongly encourage that, and they have to sell a majority of South Carolina products when in season. So if they have the option to buy South Carolina watermelons, absolutely, we want them to have the South Carolina watermelons first and foremost.
McLeod Farms in McBee, South Carolina runs a different type of roadside market. The McLeod family has lived and operated a peach packing shed since the early 1900s. The operation included a small roadside stand, which grew over time to one of the most popular roadside markets between West Virginia and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Through the years, the 3-generation farm family has learned to meet consumer demands and to keep a farm-friendly attitude.
We want to offer our customers high-quality products. We believe that our peaches are the best around, and we try to offer just the highest of quality of fruits and vegetables. We also like the friendly atmosphere. We're a farming family. There are a lot of people in the family that work here and have worked here since they were young. So we like to offer a friendly place for people to stop.
Gay McLeod is the market manager. Her husband Kemp runs the peach packing shed and other farm operations. Part of the McLeod family's success has been to recognize the need to adapt to changing times.
We just have to, adapt to what we're doing and have to do what has to be done. We never finished on the farm.
It's always something else
always
to do.
Something to do.
In addition to their roadside market, McLeod's offers internet sales, seasonal festivals, a corn maze, U-pick fields, a bakery, ice cream shop, canned products, a restaurant, and museum. The Certified South Carolina Roadside Market is open year-round. With the growth of the program, it's becoming easier to find retail outlets that sell South Carolina-grown fruits and vegetables. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll tell you what South Carolina inmates and roadside stands have in common. All that and more coming up on South Carolina Farm Bureau's installment of Voices of Agriculture.
What makes a perfect weekend? Start with the same place. You know the one. gather a handful of your favorite friends. Add in the kids just to keep things stirred up. Mix generously with laughter and the finest ingredients, South Carolina grown, of course. Serve with a fresh, low country boil and the promise to return next year. This is what memories are made of. Certified SC grown.
Hello and welcome back. We're talking about South Carolina's network of roadside markets and stands that are certified through the South Carolina Department of Agriculture. At a time when South Carolina's economy was severely depressed and the state's agribusiness sector was growing, interest was gaining in the state's Buy Local, Buy Fresh Produce program. That caused officials from the South Carolina Departments of Commerce, Agriculture, and Corrections to devise a plan to provide fresh, locally grown produce to depressed and underdeveloped areas of the state. The plan included the distribution of 50 roadside sheds built by the hands of inmate labor and leased to farmers, townships, or communities in economically depressed or underdeveloped areas around South Carolina. To date, 33 sheds are in existence.
The produce stands is a partnership between the Department of Commerce, the Department of Corrections, and the Department of Agriculture in South Carolina. The Department of Commerce funded the buildings, they designed them and funded them. The Department of Corrections actually built the structures, got all the materials, and the inmates helped build them, and they built them in kits, and so that they will be easier to transport. So they've built all the kits, and they're in storage now. And then the Department of Agriculture, our job is to manage and distribute the stands and set them up and coordinate efforts with between Department of Commerce, Corrections, and the farmers in South Carolina. So 3 eligible groups are able to apply. That's the individual farmers, also townships are eligible, and communities. So, so it's designed to capture those markets that are in depressed and least developed counties. So those are the only place where the produce stands can go at this time. And the 50 that are funded, we have 33 currently out set up across the state, and we also have 17 still available. So we're working real hard to get those produce stands set up and to promote more South Carolina agriculture.
The uniform look of the sheds helps them build brand recognition among consumers and provides an economical structure for farmers who may not have a permanent structure. J.P. Truesdale of Muddy Creek near Hemingway, South Carolina, has been in business for about 3 months at his shed and has been pleasantly surprised by the amount of business he's already attracted as people look to buy produce right off his farm.
They want to be able to get something fresh, and I've had several people that just did not want to mess with a garden anymore. They just didn't like the heat, and they felt if I was willing to go out in the heat, they would come by and, you know, buy it from me. Mainly that it's nice that they don't have to grow a garden anymore, and they like to be able to just, you know, go to a grocery store and get all the stuff that, you know, they need, but stop by here and get, you know, some tomatoes and stuff that's been picked the day before or the day of, and be able to eat it up right then, and also to be able to buy a lot of stuff to can and stuff like that, so they get to, you know, they get a little more choice, you know, of what they want.
What Truesdale doesn't grow on his farm, he buys from other local family farmers. If he doesn't carry something a customer wants, he'll take and fill orders the best he can, and the price is right.
It doesn't cost more to eat fresh. It's just as cheap as the grocery store to eat fresh stuff on most things.
In addition to the vast array of locally grown and processed fresh fruits and vegetables found at roadside markets and stands across South Carolina, you'll find another staple, South Carolina's official snack food, boiled peanuts. That's right, boiled peanuts are great for you to eat, and we're going to find out how to cook them at home. It's believed that boiled peanuts became immensely popular during the Civil War, or War of Northern Aggression as some like to call it. At a time when soldiers had little in the way of food, they discovered that peanuts boiled in salt water would last for up to a week and not spoil, and provide protein needed to keep the Army on its feet.
I'm Jim Griffin, and we're here in Lexington, South Carolina at my house, and we're going to talk about boiling peanuts. Boiled peanuts are a favorite Southern snack, and I think the reason they're a Southern snack is that folks all over the country can't get green peanuts. You got to start with green peanuts. Peanuts kind of right out of the ground. You want them to still have some moisture in them, so they'll boil up good. So that's what they look like. Then we're going to wash them good and get the dirt off of them and get them all cleaned up good. And then we're going to put them in a pot. This is a great big pot, so we're doing more than most homeowners would do. But for a pot this size, we'd probably put about a box or box and a half of salt in there. And then we'd put the heat to them and cook them slowly for about 3 or 4 hours till they start tendering up. We have a saying that says that you boil them till they're tender, and then you soak them till they're salty. And that's the whole deal. That's all you do. And these are almost done. You can see kind of what they look like. And they're soft and tasty. They're wonderful, wonderful snacks. Again, folks in the South use these a lot because they're readily available. Folks up north and in different places, they're not used to boiled peanuts. I have a friend, when he was a little boy, he lived in North South Carolina, and that at the time before interstates was the way you'd go to Florida from the north, go right through there. And he and his brother had a little business they started up, and one brother would sell the boiled peanuts to the Yankees as they came down through north, heading to Florida, and the other one would ride his bicycle up and down the road, so when the folks that had never tasted them bit into the boiled peanuts, they would think they were rotten, they'd throw them out, he'd pick them back up, and the other brother would sell them. Again, they were entrepreneurs. But that's boiled peanuts. You'll see them all over the South, starting about this time of year, which is July, all the way through the fall. And you'll see them at football games, baseball games, all kinds of things. It's a favorite snack in the South. Another way you might want to try them at your home, if you can get some green peanuts, is to cook them inside. You can use a smaller pot. Same idea, really salty, briny water. Cook them boil them till they're soft, and soak them till they're salty. And you can also use a pressure cooker and cook them in about probably a third of the time or a fourth of the time, about an hour in pressure cooker. It makes really good boiled peanuts. So try them and see what you think.
Join us this summer as South Carolina's top farmers team up with some of South Carolina's top chefs for Farm Bureau's 4th annual summer celebration of locally grown and prepared food. Farm Bureau's Palmetto Palate will be held on Thursday evening, July 22nd from 6 until 9 at the historic 701 Whaley Street building in the Olympia community of Columbia, South Carolina. Your $50 per person ticket will enable you to taste all you'd like of South Carolina farm fresh delicacies from a dozen or more chefs, and drink wines specifically paired for each dish. Local farmers will provide each chef with the ingredients they'll need to complete their Palmetto Palate menus. It's one of the purest taste of South Carolina events featuring chefs from South Carolina's leading restaurants who already participate in the state's Fresh on the Menu certified South Carolina grown program. Many chefs who participated in the 2009 event will return, along with some new entries. Palmetto Palate will also feature a silent auction of rural cultural items. If you plan to be in South Carolina July 22nd, make plans now to help us celebrate Farm Bureau's Palmetto Palate and all that's good about family farmers. Purchase your tickets today by calling 803-936-4219. That's 803-936-4219. Tickets are $50 per person for all you can eat and drink the evening of July 22nd. Call 803-936-4219 today. Visa and MasterCard are accepted. Satisfy your tastes for good food at Farm Bureau's Palmetto Palate.
Hi, I'm Angela O'Neill Chappell with Chappell Farms in Fairfax, South Carolina. We'd like to welcome you to our farm. We're harvesting watermelons right now. We've got a unique process. We use some mechanical aids to help on the heavy lifting that's involved with watermelons. Chappell Farms is a family business. It was started by my father, Bradley O'Neill. We're all a bunch of Clemson grads. We're really proud of that. My mother is a USC grad, so we do have the whole state of South Carolina proudly covered. My brother, Brad O'Neill, works here too, and so all four of us are the core family unit, and we consider all of our employees an extension of our families. Chappell Farms comes from a healthy respect for the very first farmers here on our land, the Coosa Indians. I think that's been a great thing about a family business is you have a new sense of love for your family members when you see them in a professional standpoint. There's a new sense of respect and a fresh perspective that you gain when you actually work in a business with your family. I think we're realizing that we're going to have to be more vocal about the issues that we're facing if we're going to be around in the future. We have to have an effective balance between advocacy and even educating our government leaders on the real world of today's agriculture. We try to get away from the farm when we can, but it's extremely limited. And so by having the Political Action Committee of Farm Bureau and the work that they do on a day-to-day basis up in Washington and locally at the state level, it's absolutely necessary for our future.
Well, that's all the time we have for South Carolina Farm Bureau's installment of Voices of Agriculture. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in any of the segments that we featured on today's show, please log on to our website, scfb.org. Until next time, I'm your host, Reggie Hall.